so the little boy wasn't quite convinced about what his teacher has said about where we come from. And so he went to his mom, and she said, well, honey, it's evident. We come from Adam and Eve. And that's what it says in the Bible, and that's who we are. So I'm going to go ask Dad. So he goes and he asks his father, Dad, I'm learning about where we came from. What are your ideas? And his dad said, well, son, that's very easy. We come from monkeys. So he's kind of, baffled by the whole thing, and he goes running over to his mom in the other room, and he says, Mom, I don't get it. You're talking about Adam and Eve. My dad says we're coming from monkeys. She said, oh, honey, he's talking about his side of the family. In my life journey, one of the things that I have witnessed about myself, I certainly have observed in other people, in counseling and shamanism and otherwise, is how some people are convinced that they simply come from their family system. They will argue it. They will defend it. They will start telling you, well, I have this, my hair does this because my mother's did. I have a cough because my dad had that at about the same age. And they'll tell you all the things that they're putting into the law. Well, I know that I'm probably going to have arthritis. My grandmother had arthritis. And I understand that in one level. I'm kind of shocked by it when I hear metaphysical people doing that. And the deeper part of it is to say that it can be both and. You can have an awareness of where you came from, but you also want to live you are made in the image and likeness of God. Am I right? And so on my journey early on, I remember just like the other day, I'll remember it probably on my deathbed if I'm aware that I'm dying. I don't know. I will remember being in that 1963 black Galaxy Ford with my grandparents sitting in the back as a little girl, and we went to the doctor just about every week so they could find out how they're going to feel, what kind of week they're going to have, what their life is going to be like. And I'm thinking, this will not be me. I'm making a different choice. And when I was around 11 or 12 and I had my first girly stomach cramp, that's just what it is if you're a girl. And so immediately people started saying, you're going to be like your aunt. You're going to have to probably wind up having a hysterectomy. I'm like, what is that? It doesn't sound pleasurable. I'm going to make a different choice. Many times of surgery, many times of this, it's like, intuitively that doesn't feel right. Of course, at 12 and teenagers, we didn't use the word intuitive back then, but it was a gut feeling. It was an awareness of coming from a family system, of allergy. Oh, you're going to be like your grandmother. I have a feeling you're going to be like your grandmother and you're going to have asthma. And so this is the data. It's not my story. It's all of your stories. It's what people have told you all your life since you were wee big, wee small, whatever. This is how you're going to be because of those people that came before you. And I'm inviting you to ask today with an open heart and an open mind, who do you really represent and where did you really come from? And to really dig deeper into that and ask yourself with the statements that you make and the affirmations and everything else, are you stating a truth? Or has it become true because you continue to put it in the law? It fascinates me that people talk about affirmations and they don't understand that they're doing them all day long about one thing or another. Affirmations isn't just touchy-feely, let's pull out that peace on kumbaya. It's about things you say out of your mouth, I say out of my mouth, on a daily basis. Jesus would say that you are to be in the world, but not of the world. And when you start adapting all these isms and all these labels, you have crossed over to that. And it's both and. So I'm not dividing, it's both and. Yes? Are you with me? Right? And so I love Khalil Gibran. And his writings are wonderful from the book The Prophet and otherwise. And he says so clearly, your children, they come through you, but not from you. They are the sons and daughters of life longing for itself. We sell ourselves short. We sell ourselves short. Oh, you did it. Oh, and my granddaddy did it, and my great-granddaddy did it, so, I guess I'm supposed to have it done unto me. We are not people that are being done unto if we are working with the laws in spiritual evolution. Yes? When I sit here and I'm in a unity community and I'm in a new thought world and my whole life was resurrected because of unity, I think, oh my goodness, I'm so happy that Myrtle Fillmore did not believe that she was of the world. I'm so grateful because I haven't done a lot of research on it, but I think it's safe to say it was kind of unique that people were healed of tuberculosis back then. And she stood there clearly in her declaration and her affirmation. You can look up more about her online. For those of you that she's new to you, because she shouldn't be. Because every time I stand here, I am grateful that she stood before me because she said, I am a child of God and therefore I do not inherit disease. That's how we started. That's how we are, is the individuation of believing that it could be different for you, that you are not a cookie cutter reality, that you could say, maybe I'm going to make a different choice. I won't stop until I find it. And if you're defending already about the disease that you have or the ailment that you have, don't resist it because what you resist will persist. And the other part of that energetic being is to call it your sacred friend. You are not my enemy. You are here to draw out of me what my capacity is. And if you treat it as your sacred friend, you may be pleasantly surprised that your vibration will change and you will change, and bam, bam, you shall be healed. You shall be healed. I had the good pleasure forever ago to sit with Willard Fuller. Willard Fuller lived in northern Florida. He had been featured all over the U.S. as being a mighty faith healer. He at one time was just as big as, I'm talking crowds and people and listening and audience back then, in the tent revival as Billy Graham. But he said that the Baptists somewhat ousted him because he believed in healing. And you could go to his retreats. I went to one, people had gold come into their fillings in their mouth. I mean, the fascinating things about it, like Charles Fillmore, whose leg grew, those kind of things. I mean, he was doing those walk on life miracles, that we don't talk enough about, right? Because the media is fueled with things that are against us rather than for us, because it would deplete us of our own independence. But Willard Fuller went on to do the greatest work until he got a new address and he died. And he stood before every group and said, what about you? What about your life? You are a child of God. What about you can be healed? The king gave this man the opportunity to come before him, and he took him out to all this property, and he said, draw a circle for all the things you claim. And so he drew the circle, and the king said, oh, you want everything within the circle you have put around you? And the man said, oh, no, I want everything outside the circle. Claiming, naming the space of that. My daily affirmation is quite long, but the first part that I do is I go, hello, God. Oh, hello, God. How am I going to be you today? I am so excited to be you today. What is that going to be? Oh, my gosh. I'm excited in that mystery of life, of what that can be. With the ILE students, we have been talking lately about healing, about bedside manner, about how to support people when they are dying, and those kind of things. And one of the things that I talked about is that even if someone is dying, you want to have them affirm with you life, because it takes a lot of energy to die. And so wherever you're going, even if you're dying, you need that energy boost. But to me, the most important thing is the power of inner listening, the power of awareness when you are called forth. You don't have to be a minister to be called forth, you see. You can be just a friend, you can be a family member or whatever. And when you're called into a room, you want to listen, not to what they're telling you. They're reading a script. They're looking at a chart, and they're telling you what the chart says. I want to know what the soul says, right? And so I was invited at one particular time to a veterans hospital because one of our long-term members, they were saying that she was going to be passing soon. And so I walk into the room. The associate is with me, Reverend Russell. And we walk up, and you've never seen so many wires in your life. And they're just covered, okay? And the nurses are all looking at me going, mm-hmm. And I look at her, and I go, I just felt guided. I went, what in the world are you doing here? Excuse me? This is not how you are going out. And I could see the perky in her face. And I became aware that all she could do was blink her eyes, and she had one knuckle that would work, that was really able to move. And they declared that with me, all the medical people. Well, that's all she's got going. I went, that's all we need. That's all we need. We got life there. And there's a power called life. And it's there. And it's wanting to be. And it's a start. And I looked at her and I said, Sandra Kit, if you want to get out of here, you blink your eyes. And her eyes blinked as fast as they can go. She learned to walk. She learned to talk. She learned to ride a horse. She learned to eat. Don't tell me that you're going to defend your story about what you may or you may not be able to do, because what is possible is life. And if a little bitty plant can break through the cement with the determination to be itself, there are no excuses for you whatsoever. And I'm telling these stories today because I didn't just read them in Chicken Soup for the Soul, though those are lovely. I witnessed them with my own eyes. When my shaman teacher was at the end of her life, it was interesting. Her cat had also served another dying woman. And so her cat is now serving her in dying, and the cat was not doing well at all. Losing hair, taking on the conditions of its mother, because that's what animals do. You talking about your cat or your dog not being okay? They're taking on you. Often. Not always, but often. And so this cat, I even called an animal communicator because I'm emotional. It's a big deal for me to say goodbye to somebody that changed my life so much. And I'm doing a check-in, and I go, people are telling me, and the vet, they're all saying that Nikki is going to die when Berenice dies. Yeah, he's done. He's going to let go. Inside, I didn't hear that. I didn't feel it. And the day she died, and there was Nikki, I went and I sat him on the bed, and I put his face right in my eyes so he couldn't miss anything. And I said, you've done well. You have done so well. It's your time now to have some fun. And you're going to have some fun now. Now, this cat didn't play with toys. This cat wasn't even really social. But I just kept saying, it's your time. Let go, dance. Be the best, happy little kitty cat you could possibly dream of being. It's your time, and it is not your time to go out. And that cat is thriving 3 years later, plays with toys, plays with games, plays fun, has a wonderful time, because the space is the space of individuation, of creating a template for the universe of the laws of what can happen. Does this work for you? It's the medicine for our soul. Because people will say, well, this is what you can count on. And then we say, this is what we can count on. And then you tell your whole tribe, this is what's going to happen. And we're working with the law. I'm not talking about Temple Hayes the healer. This is not new stuff for me. This is the life force. I'm talking about what Spirit has the potentiality to do through you, had the potential to do through Myrtle. If you don't get caught up in all these little facts and data and stuff, and you're not listening to yourself. And you got to be brave. And you got to be out there. And you have to be willing to be used as a catalyst, as a spokesperson. And, you know, it's like I always say, even if they do die, nobody's going to say, well, they didn't make, they're not going to hold you like you failed. It was very interesting. And being a minister a while, as you know, you hear about it, maybe too much. But anyway, a while, that, as you know, we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people when we used to meet in public. Every time. And the reason I knew it is because he'd come up and tell me so, and he'd fuss and he'd argue with me. Every time this 50-year-old something guy would come up and tell me that what I said was not true, and argue with me and tell me it was a bunch of crap because his husband had died from AIDS and cancer. And he could not see, and I'm not going to defend or justify. Don't need to. It's his path. But it fascinated me that every time it happened, there he would be. Hello? Do the math, right? But one day I said to him, you're confusing the fact that dying is not a failure. We're all going to die. But the very fact that he died doesn't mean that the teaching failed at all. That was the sacred way in which he exited as a soul. So it's that particular space. You want me to tell you another one? Well, about 18 years ago, I was called into a hospital because a young 40-year-old man had severe diabetes, and he was at the end of his life. His organs were starting to shut down. And so the mom invited me to come in, and I felt very honored that she did that. And again, wires and plugs and big pieces of equipment and all that. He's laying there. His color isn't right. He just looks like he's sleeping. And I just got this nudge to be out there. I got this Myrtle Fillmore moment. I got this call inside of myself, and I just went into prayer because they thought I was going to be doing last rites. Well, I don't like to do last rites. Okay? I was like, get somebody else to do. I want to do the living rites. I want to do those. And so I just start to going, and it's like something's coming through me. And I just said, oh, blessed God, please forgive this man. He's taking his life for granted. Now, you got to know I've never met him in my life. I didn't know anything about him. I said, he's taking his life for granted. He thinks it's a joke. He's been treating his life like a joke. He's not been listening, and everybody's offering him love, and he's just not paying any attention to what the heck. And he's just, oh, God, please forgive him. Please forgive him for not understanding the precious value of life. Well, his eyes opened. Well, he coughed. He sat up in the bed and he started wailing. Oh my God, you're so right. You're so right. I haven't been treating myself correctly. I haven't been doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Oh my God, and how did you know that? And how did you know that? In 4 weeks, he drove with a brand new suit and he sat right in the back row, and he came here for many years. Please listen. Please, if you're going around on your bios and telling people you're metaphysical, please be metaphysical. Give us good branding. We need it. I can't imagine sometimes. I just think of Myrtle just shaking her head like, oh my gosh, they're like they could be anybody. Be metaphysical. Be beyond the physical. Be beyond what you see and what you witness in your life. And whatever is occurring with you right now, whatever is happening in your life and in this space, look at it from a different perspective. If you have something and you feel you can't get rid of it, ask why. Don't fight it, for it will fight you. Be in that energetic space. In closing, know the power within you. Know the essence of what you carry. Go on record as someone that really branded metaphysical teaching in a way in which you live and move and have your being. Pray for life, not death. Pray for healing, not mediocrity. Pray for knowing, not what somebody else said that came from the monkey group. Pray for the family, but the bigger part of who you represent. And so it is. Thank you.